He Zi Qiu's aunt came to visit him. Seeing the cafe he opened, she felt genuinely happy for him. She reminded He Zi Qiu to be filial to Li Hai Chao. However, Li Hai Chao didn't mind too much. As they talked, Aunt suddenly started crying. It turned out that her husband had been diagnosed with stomach cancer and urgently needed money for treatment. He Zi Qiu overheard everything from the doorway. He immediately said that he had money and would lend it to his aunt, assuring Li Hai Chao that he didn't need to worry. However, in reality, He Zi Qiu didn't have much money. The cafe wasn't doing well, renovations and other expenses had already cost a lot. The electricity had been cut off due to unpaid bills. Recently, fewer and fewer customers had been coming. Was it because of the off-season, or were the prices too high? With business struggling, He Zi Qiu was feeling quite frustrated. Li Hai Chao got news about He Mei through Ling Heping. Following the address, he went to find her. He Mei had been back for 2 years and had even opened a beauty salon. Li Hai Chao wanted to help He Zi Qiu let go of his emotional burden. He urged He Mei to visit her son when she had the chance. He Mei recalled the night she saw He Zi Qiu chasing after her car. She had also secretly gone to see him multiple times. Despite this, He Mei still coldly refused. At the dinner table, Li Hai Chao mentioned He Mei. On the surface, He Zi Qiu seemed indifferent, but he remembered the day He Mei bought him delicious food. She had smiled as she said goodbye. She once promised that once she found a job, she would come back for him. Back then, He Zi Qiu had shouted for his mother to return soon. But after that, she disappeared. This time, it was his turn to look for He Mei. Unfortunately, they never got to meet. As He Zi Qiu was about to finish work, he noticed a woman sitting in the shop, someone both familiar and unfamiliar. He Mei had come to see him. He took the initiative to ask why she never came to pick him up back then. He Mei answered truthfully, it was because of financial difficulties. Her words finally resolved the question that had lingered in his heart for years. With reddened eyes, he took out an item and told He Mei that she had given him life, and for that, he was deeply grateful. However, if they ever met again, they should act like strangers. He Mei opened it. It was a photo of her. Over the years, all of her sons' longing for his mother had been entrusted to this small photograph. Meanwhile, Ling Xiao had returned to Singapore. He stood at the door for a long time. This home was suffocating. As soon as Ting noticed that he had no suitcase with him, she immediately questioned him. Ling Xiao remained silent, his head lowered. Ting kept nagging. In the midst of their argument, Li Jian called. Ting lashed out and smashed Ling Xiao's phone. Ting hadn't eaten all day. She even hid Ling Xiao's passport. Qin Meiyang turned a blind eye. Today was the day Ling Xiao was supposed to return home, but no one could reach him. It was as if he had completely disappeared. Li Jian felt awful. No one knew what had happened in that home in Singapore. He Zi Qiu and Li Jian drank together. Li Jian got so drunk that she couldn't walk. He Zi Qiu carried her on his back and promised her that he would always stay by her side. In the middle of the night, Ling Xiao overcame all obstacles and managed to catch a connecting flight back. His return was all thanks to Qin Meiyang, who threw the passport that Ting had hidden back to him. She said that from now on, she would take care of Ting. Looking at the drunken, sleeping Li Jian, Ling Xiao couldn't help but gently kiss her forehead. Li Jian woke up from her sleep. Seeing Ling Xiao so close to her, she turned her head away to avoid him, but in her heart, she couldn't stop thinking about the feeling of his stolen kiss. Qi Mingyue witnessed this scene. It was then that she finally realized that the person Ling Xiao had secretly liked was Li Jian, not her. The next day, Qi Mingyue went home in frustration. Li Jian couldn't reach Qi Mingyue no matter how she tried. She went downstairs to her apartment and waited for her. After an hour of waiting, her legs were numb. The root of their conflict was a man. At this moment, friendship seemed to hold less value than love. The two had a heated argument and parted on bad terms. The next morning, Li Jian listened carefully to the sounds outside her door. Only after confirming that Lin Xiao had left did she prepare to head to work. However, she unexpectedly ran into Lin Xiao at the elevator. Feeling extremely awkward, she wanted to escape, but Lin Xiao grabbed her arm. Lin Xiao directly confessed his feelings for Li Jian. He truly liked her and wanted to marry her. The sudden shift in their relationship startled her, and she fled in panic. Had she confused family-like affection with romantic love? After much hesitation, Li Jian decided to talk things through with Lin Xiao. He was straightforward. He had liked her since high school but had kept it hidden in his heart. He declared that in this lifetime, he belonged to Li Jian. Meanwhile, Jing Shuran broke up with Li Jian, saying they were better suited as friends. He Zi Qiu told Li Hai Chao about Li Jian's breakup. He sought Li Hai Chao's approval. He liked Li Jian. Li Hai Chao was a bit overwhelmed by the sudden news. He Zi Qiu promised that even if they couldn't be lovers, they would go back to being siblings. Li Hai Chao agreed. At home, Lin Xiao persuaded Li Jian to seriously consider him. As soon as Lin Xiao left, He Zi Qiu returned. Looking at the carefree Li Jian, He told her that he wanted to be her boyfriend. So much had happened in just one day. Li Jianjian quickly distanced herself from He Zi Qiu. They were not biological siblings, but they were closer than family, and they wanted to take their bond a step further. Lin Xiao and Li Jianjian's first official kiss was incredibly sweet. After being upset by her friends, Li Jianjian came to Lin Xiao to vent. At that moment, Lin Xiao suddenly leaned in, cupped her face, and sweetly kissed her. Li Jianjian instinctively closed her eyes, fully indulging in his loving kiss. Afterward, she lowered her head like an adorable panda, trying to hide, clearly shy. Qi Mingyue made an appointment with Li Jianjian. Don't deny yourself because of a man's opinion. Qi Mingyue recognized the root of the problem. The two had a good conversation, cleared up their misunderstandings, and reconciled. At this moment, the balance tilted towards friendship. The surprise was on both sides. After sharing a kiss the night before, Lin Xiao was preparing breakfast. Thinking about last night, Li Jianjian felt both nervous and excited. She retreated to the bathroom and was pleasantly surprised to see Qi Mingyue had moved back in. Walking together with Li Jianjian, He Zi Qiu casually rested a hand on her shoulder, making them look even more like siblings. Siblings share meals from the same pot, while a married couple sleeps in the same bed. A married couple may separate, but siblings are a bond that cannot be shaken off. Holding her brother's hand, Li Jianjian told him, "The form doesn't matter, but we are family no matter what." Ling Xiao wanted to be with Li Jianjian out of instinct, and it was also a form of self-rescue. He had lost the energy to build emotional connections with strangers. He once thought that if Li Jianjian were married, he would wait for her forever. The negative influence of his original family had deeply affected him. Ling Xiao held her tightly. Meanwhile, Li Jianjian discovered that He Zi Qiu was withdrawing money using a credit card. They had always assumed that He Zi Qiu's finances came from Zhao Huaguang. Since He Zi Qiu refused to call him father, Zhao Huaguang imposed financial sanctions on him. 2 years passed this way, and afterward, He Zi Qiu earned his living through part-time jobs. His years abroad had been quite difficult. To celebrate selling the derivative rights of her studio's work, Li Jianjian invited Ling Xiao and the others for a hot pot meal. However, a post on Weibo suddenly cooled the atmosphere at the table. Li Jianjian's submission had been published and was gaining significant attention. In it, she shared her personal experiences. At that moment, He Zi Qiu and Ling Xiao realized that they both had feelings for Li Jianjian. An argument broke out between them. He Zi Qiu insisted that Li Hai Chao had raised Ling Xiao as his own son, making him and Li Jianjian practically siblings. Their argument escalated. Ling Xiao suddenly pulled Li Jianjian into his arms and declared that they were already together. Li Jianjian nodded. He Zi Qiu was devastated. He couldn't understand why nobody ever chose him. Li Jianjian was upset the whole night. The next morning, despite thinking he wouldn't come, He Zi Qiu still showed up and prepared breakfast. He treated Li Jianjian as usual, but his attitude toward Ling Xiao was extremely cold. Li Jianjian wanted to keep some distance from Ling Xiao in front of He Zi Qiu. However, Ling Xiao refused and even became a little angry. Did she choose him out of pity? Li Jianjian chased after Ling Xiao. If she didn't love him, why would she be with him? But Ling Xiao stubbornly believed that he couldn't survive without her. His years in Singapore had left him feeling extremely insecure. Aside from taking care of Chinting and Qin Meiyang, all he ever did was miss home, miss Li Jianjian. Li Jianjian, heartbroken, hugged Ling Xiao tightly. She specially rushed over to have dinner with him. When alone, one's mind tends to wander. Li Jianjian wanted to treat Lin Xiao better, even better. Before parting, she unexpectedly kissed him first. That alone was enough to make him happy for a while. Recalling those difficult days, Chinting had completely lost sensation in her lower limbs. No one knew what the future would hold. She struggled with daily life, unable to take care of herself, and fell into deep despair. During that time, Chinting's temper worsened, and darkness engulfed them. After being discharged from the hospital, they returned home. The long, endless nights seemed like they would never end, and they had no choice but to endure them. One night, scalding hot porridge spilled onto his shoulder as Chinting lashed out in frustration. Aside from the pain, there was nothing else he could feel. He stayed in the living room every night, afraid of any unexpected incidents. Then, one day, Chinting decided to give rehabilitation a try. In that moment, Lin Xiao felt a glimmer of hope. Due to financial difficulties, He Zi Qiu took on another job to make ends meet. He didn't want anyone's pity. That evening, He Mei was having dinner with Dong Dong at a restaurant. In the blink of an eye, the little boy had disappeared. Panicked, He Mei frantically searched and finally found him holding a piece of candy. Just as she was about to thank the person who found him, she looked up and saw He Zi Qiu. What was he doing here? He Zi Qiu gazed at He Mei's son, then turned away and left. He felt like a stray dog next to a pile of garbage, unwanted. Unable to bear it, he picked up a real stray dog and took it home. Li Jianjian helped him bathe the dog. The ones who care for and cherish each other are the true family. Blood relations alone don't necessarily make a family, just like their parents. The three of them had nearly drifted apart, but thankfully, their true feelings held them together, like a kite string keeping them connected. Li Jianjian told He Zi Qiu that if he wasn't happy, she would worry and feel unhappy too. Her way of comforting people was truly impressive. He Zi Qiu felt much better. On one side was her boyfriend, on the other was her brother. She balanced both well. Meanwhile, He Zi Qiu's financial troubles were still unresolved. But Lin Chao had secretly paid off all of He Zi Qiu's credit card debt. Family care isn't just expressed through words. He Mei took Dong Dong to see Li Hai Chao. Li Hai Chao finally realized that the reason He Zi Qiu was able to return to China back then was that Zhao Huaguang had another son. He Mei called Zhao Huaguang and learned that all of He Zi Qiu's financial support came from his own hard work. Furious, He Mei demanded that Zhao Huaguang compensate He Zi Qiu. As the night grew quiet, the two of them ate while talking about life. Suddenly, He Zi Qiu received a money transfer from Zhao Huaguang on his phone, filling him with both anger and confusion. He rushed to He Mei's shop, pounding on the door like a madman. Even in his most difficult times, he had never begged Zhao Huaguang for help. But now, He Mei's actions had deeply hurt him. First, He Mei abandoned him. Then, Zhao Huaguang abandoned him again. Why was it always him being abandoned? That was exactly why he wanted to work even harder. He would repay those who were good to him. He wanted to open a cafe that Li Jianjian would love, filled with endless desserts for her. He wanted to earn as much money as possible and take care of Li Hai Chao. Lowering her head, He Mei softly said, "I'm sorry." But He Zi Qiu didn't need those 3 words. In his heart and eyes, there were only 3 people he truly cared about. He would use all his strength to love them. After he left, He Mei broke down in tears. At that moment, just an ordinary mother. The 3 of them held each other tightly in silence. Li Hai Chao prepared their favorite foods, egg pancakes, pan-fried dumplings, and porridge. Seeing the drawing that Li Jianjian had stuffed under the door last night, He Zi Qiu's gloom instantly vanished. Just like when they were kids, the family sat together for breakfast. Feeling emotional, Li Hai Chao told He Zi Qiu that he didn't have to forgive He Mei, but he needed to know the truth.